Happy times are here again. Yes, yes, you've done the right thing. You've done the right thing. You saw my orange jumper and you clicked on the thumbnail saying, that looks sunny, that looks fun.
Halloweeny.
Well, it could be. But what if this happened 10 years from now in May? We don't know. You know, we don't know. That's the beauty of this platform. I might be dead. I might be dead and you are watching me after I'm dead. And I remember seeing something, I think it was a Derren Brown thing, where he did a thing with this person and he gave them cards that were all pictures of people. And he just said to them, look, choose the cards that where you like the person versus where you're not sure if you like them or not. And this person sorted through maybe 30 cards. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about that person. I like that person. And then he said, all the pictures of the people that you weren't sure about, they're all dead. All of those people. Whereas these people are alive. That was freaky.
And was that true, or did he just say it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, that was, he could have, it was on the back of the things. It was on the back of the pictures. It was like dead, not dead, dead, not dead. So I don't know. It's kind of a trick, but I freaked me out. I was like, oh, that's not nice. Today's viewer request comes from Bobby Hoopla, which is a fun name, and they wrote, "It looks like you like the Beatles."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well done, Bobby. Very observant. Do something with them in. That's nice, Bobby. I do like them, but it's a very vague request. Mostly, they do music, which we can't sing, or someone in California will be furious, thinking of the people who run this website. And so I looked at interviews, lots of good ones, but one in particular caught my eye and made me think about something we all need. Peace. Peace. Will it ever be given a chance? Will it ever be given a chance? Only one Beatle in this scene, but we do get Yoko, so that's a bonus. John Lennon talks to a lady called Gloria Emerson from the New York Times about an advertising campaign he did for peace. And she don't get it. Is he being naive? Or is she being a snob? Discuss. So, I put the link in the description. That's what everybody says when they put links in the description. So you can click on that to see the argument for yourself. This is a real argument. So we are not doing like a dramatic thing, which we usually do for these requests where, you know, it's like, oh, well, it's a scene from television, it's a scene from film. Mm-hmm. This is a scene of two people arguing and the camera, for real, and the camera is really just capturing that and just sort of staying back from the whole thing, kind of documentary style. It's going to be very interesting to do because a lot of people kind of talking on top of each other and trying to get their point across loudly. It's really, really fascinating. I think, actually, what we should do now, instead of discuss this important question, I think we should do it and then discuss the question, because then we've delivered context for people. Okay? So I invite you, don't do it now, or maybe open in another tab the link that I put in the description, because if you just click on the link, you'll just go to that and you won't be here anymore. Click on that in a new tab, watch it, go, oh, that's what they mean. Then come back and we will do the scene and then we will discuss that very thing. Let's now join the scene I've written. In 3 Savile Row, London, where they tailor the suits, in late 1969. This is an argument. People are talking over each other and loudly. For context, John has just sent his MBA medal back to the palace in protest. That is a member of the British Empire medal that you get if you're a bit famous or you did something worthy. Your Majesty, I am returning my MBE as a protest against Britain's involvement in the Nigeria-Biafra thing, against our support of America and Vietnam, and against cold turkey slipping down the charts. So, this is an argument between three people, but Yoko's just kind of going, she's not really,
That's Yoko, yeah.
heavily involved.
It's about that, yeah.
Hey, you're being silly, man. That kind of thing. She's sort of a bit like that. But then it's sort of two people having a massive argument. So, who is going to be John Lennon? Who is going to be Gloria Emerson? We can swap at some point if we fancy doing it again, if you get it wrong.
Well, I'll take John Lennon.
John Lennon.
I did play him in year 6 in a school
Oh.
play.
Wow,
Did you?
did you?
Yes, I did.
What were you
Method
do?
acting.
What were you being the Beatles?
No, I can't remember what the play was, but I had to sit with a guitar and play Imagine on the edge of the stage.
Okay.
Sing
It's
it.
terrifying for a year 6.
And I didn't bother learning it. So in the end, they just played the track, and I kind of sat there
Holding a
and
guitar.
holding the guitar. And,
Did you mouth?
I mouthed the first verse because I knew the first verse, and then I just kind of pretended to do the rest. It must have been horribly embarrassing for everyone there. But this is my chance for redemption.
Oh, I see.
He played it on piano as well, that song. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not really
I was
guitar.
way off.
I mean, there's no pianos at school.
There were,
Keyboard?
but I didn't. I see the plan was I was going to play it on guitar.
Could you play guitar?
Yes, but not probably to that standard. Hence why I didn't.
Child prodigy.
Well,
Well,
by the sounds
I
of it,
didn't. I didn't
no.
do it.
Really, you were. I played Saddam Hussein in year 8. No
Oh,
word of a lie.
Really?
that's an interesting
so that was-
casting.
I
Yeah.
played the third elf. That was it.
See, that sounds more wholesome.
The
Elf. Christmas elf.
you made that sound like you were in the same thing as her, and I'm like, why?
Oh, you
Why
were
are there elves in
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein?
Yeah,
Hussein.
you know, very
Two
abstract.
famously good
Yeah,
together.
he's always Saddam Hussein and the elves. This is like
Yeah.
it's a Christmas story
Yeah.
going on. Doesn't even believe in
an
Christmas.
autobiography.
Saddam
Biography.
Hussein's
Made.
grotto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hussein's grotto.
Saddam at Christmas that he doesn't celebrate.
Saddamta Claus.
Yeah,
Is he insane or Hussein?
that's
Yeah.
the question.
That's the question.
I reckon we know the answer. So, John, who's going to be Gloria?
Do you feel like having an argument? Get in there.
Oh, I'll get in there. Yeah, why not? Why not?
So you're going to be
Yeah.
Yoko.
Yeah.
Yoko. Hey, Yoko. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go.
If I'm going to get on the front page, I may as well get on the front page with the word peace.
But you've made yourself look ridiculous.
To some people, I don't care.
You're too good for what you're doing.
If it saves
No, you don't
lives,
think, oh, my dear boy, you're living in Netherlands.
you talk to a...
You don't think you've saved a single life. You probably helped cold turkey move up the
It didn't
charts.
do a bit of use.
No.
It's still gone down, so it didn't do anything.
No, but you don't equate the civil war that's going
Listen.
on, in Nigeria with that, and then talk about, well, this is my form of protest because people in anti-war campaigns are too serious.
Yes.
And then they get battered. So what do you know about a protest movement
I know
anyway?
a lot about it.
Oh, it consists of a lot more than sending your chauffeur and your back to Buckingham Palace.
You're just a snob about it. The only
No,
way
you're a fake.
to make...
No, you're a fake. I mean, I know in England it's kind of smart to not be too serious about anything.
Everyone needs a smile, you know.
I see.
For instance, even if they're...
No, the Pinkville Massacre. No, can you give up something else that would mean a little bit more?
It's not the sacrifice. You can't get that... You can't get that into your head, can you? You've stated half a dozen times the MBE is irrelevant. I agree. It was no sacrifice to get rid of the MBE because it was an embarrassment.
Then what kind of a protest did you make?
We did an advertising campaign for peace. Can you understand that?
No, I
A
can't.
very big advertising campaign for peace.
No, actually, I think it's vulgar and self-aggrandizing. Are you advertising John Lennon or peace?
Do you want nice middle-class gestures for peace?
Yeah, maybe.
And intellectual manifestos written by a load of half-witted intellectuals and nobody reads them. That's the trouble with the peace movement.
Well, you know what? It seems a Netherland. I can't think of anyone who seems more remote from the ugliness of what's happening than you. I do see you getting up on a Tuesday morning and thinking, let's see, what should we do to say what war is going on?
Well, that's your imagination, you know, really.
You carry on. Why don't you make a film while you're at it?
I'm someone who admired you very much.
Well, I'm sorry you like your old mop tops, dear, and you thought I was very satirical and witty, and you liked Hard Day's Night Love, but I've grown up. Well, you obviously haven't.
Have you?
Yes, folks.
What have you grown up to?
Oh, 29.
It's a good argument. Good argument. So I like the pace of that.
Yeah.
That was good. If we did it again. So I don't think we need to add to the pace. I think you did it as fast as you need to do it. I would say even for Gloria, I would keep in mind your experience and the fact that I'm not sure how old she was, but I would say 40s, right? So she's probably 15 years older than he is, and feels a lot more experienced about the world. Maybe is in some respects, or maybe she is about this. That's the question. So she's really talking down to him quite a lot. Whereas that there seemed like more of an even, a peer-to-peer argument.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, but she doesn't feel that way.
So more patronising.
And more patronising, more condescending. And he then has more to react to, because he hates being patronised and condescended to. And that gives it the extra sort of spice.
Extra spice. Okay, yeah.
So you can even, maybe take 5% off the pace even. And I rarely say that.
Okay,
I rarely say that just to make sure that, because they're really trying. They've really got sharp
really
knives.
needling
These
each
people.
other, yeah.
They really want each of the other one to hear what they've just said. They want, I've got a zinger here, so have this. So it's got that feel to it. And Yoko's got to be Johnny on the spot with her important lines.
Yes.
Everything needs a smile.
Everything needs a smile. She sort of says it like that, and she's
What part of Germany is Yoko from?
Munich.
Everything needs a smile.
Everything needs a smile. Yeah, maybe do it with a German accent.
Yoko, I know.
I know Yoko. Okay, so are we ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
If I'm going to get on the front page, I may as well get on the front page with the word
But
peace.
you've made yourself look ridiculous.
To some people, I don't care.
You're too good for what you're doing.
If it saves lives...
You don't think, my dear boy, you're living in the Netherlands.
You talk to her.
You don't think you've saved a single life. You probably helped cold turkey move up the charts.
It didn't do a bit of good.
No.
It's still gone down, so it didn't do anything.
No, but you don't equate the civil war that's going on in Nigeria with that, and then you talk about, well, this is my form of protest because people in anti-war campaigns are too serious.
Yes.
And then they get battered. So what do you know about a protest movement anyway?
I know a lot about it.
It consists of a lot more than sending your chauffeur in your car back to Buckingham Palace.
You're just a snob about it. The only way
You're a
to
fake.
make...
No, I know in England it's kind of smart to not be too serious about anything.
Everything needs a smile,
I see, yeah.
For instance, even if they're...
The Pinkville Massacre. Wow, can you give up something else that would mean a little bit more?
It's not the sacrifice. You can't get that into your head, can you? You've stated half a dozen times the MBE is irrelevant. I agree. It was no sacrifice to get rid of the MBE because it was an embarrassment.
And then what kind of a protest did you make?
We did an advertising campaign for peace. Can you understand that?
No, actually.
A very
I can't.
big advertising campaign for peace.
I think it's vulgar and self-aggrandizing. Are you advertising John Lennon or peace?
Do you want nice middle-class gestures for peace?
Maybe.
And intellectual manifestos written by a lot of half-witted intellectuals and nobody reads them. That's the trouble with the peace movement.
Oh, well, it just seems another Neverland. I can't think of anyone who seems more remote from the ugliness of what's happening than you. You know what, I do see you getting up on a Tuesday morning and thinking, oh, let's see, what shall we do today? What war is going on?
Well, that's your imagination, really.
You carry on. Why don't you make a film while you're at it?
I'm someone who admired you very much.
Well, I'm sorry you like your old mop tops, dear, and you thought I was very satirical and witty, and you liked Hard Day's Night, love. But I've grown up. You obviously haven't.
Have you?
Yes, folks.
And what have you grown up to?
Oh, 29?
See? Imagine if we had a day together, how good I could get you. I mean, really, that was such an improvement in one note, really.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you that you can actually, take notes, because God, so many people can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? If I say to you, play it a bit older and a bit more snobbish, you went and did it.
Right.
Of take 5% off, more or less. Difficult. I'll have when I'm editing, I'll know how long it took, and I'll know I could maybe email you what the
I
number
reckon
was.
it's exactly 5%.
But I tell you
Oh,
what,
yeah,
it was not,
yeah.
it was not far off. And I like what you did. You probably, yeah, it was a good effort because it's a real argument, you know, and that's the
That's real
difference.
angular.
That's the difference between if a TV show were to do this argument. First of all, they'd probably truncate it. They go, oh well, that's too long. It's too long. We don't want to do all of that. They take bits out. One of the things he does when he's particularly hot under the collar, he says intellectual twice in the same sentence. And intellectual manifestos written by a lot of half-witted intellectuals, and nobody reads them. So you wouldn't, if you weren't, you'd never write that, because you never write intellectuals twice in the same sentence.
Right.
You never use that word twice in that way. But it works there because he's heated.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's difficult to replicate. You know, when you're a high-class writer, it's difficult to replicate these things. It's the fine line between very good and great. I think that you notice these things. Fine line, yeah. So I might write that twice, and I'd have a reason for it. But someone who's just a bit lower than that level would never do it. They go, oh, no, we can't use the word intellectual twice in that way. Why not? Well, I can't think of a reason to it. It just seems like bad writing. Not always.
They'd say, well, it's just not natural to say intellectuals twice.
That's what they'd say. And they could be very good. But there's a fine line between good and great. I mean, they might even they'd have stuff on telly, they'd have successful careers, they'd probably have awards. But still, you know, the real greats, they know why a thing is done in the way that it's done. The more naturalism you can watch, if you're going to write an argument, watch an argument. Have an argument. You know, enforce an argument. Make one happen in your life. Go and annoy a stranger. Go and frustrate a loved one. Make it happen. Record it and then go, no, this is what it's really like. This is how it is. We can imagine arguments, but when we're imagining them to fit into the narrative of our story, we go, oh, well, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't do that. Yeah, how angry is he?
Yeah. You don't make sense.
People do
when you're
funny
angry.
things, don't they?
Because some of the replies, you know, are like, make a film while you're at it.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, to an audience member, say, if you were to write that, you'd be like, well, what is he talking about? You know, but while you're in the heat of an argument, in your head, you're like thinking, you know, you're not thinking rationally, just like, oh, I'm gonna diss her this way. Like, why don't you make a film then? You know?
Yeah, because she's making assumptions, and so he's saying, you're making that many assumptions, you could make a film about it. But when it's just said in the moment, it's like, what's he referring to? Oh, I think it's this. You know, so it's a bit scattergun. It's a little bit all over the place. Very interesting though. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's exciting to do these things. I was really pleased with the clip, and I would recommend watching it. Or you know, if you've got this far, I don't know how many minutes we are into this. If you've got this far and you haven't watched that clip, or you're like, well, I don't think I need to. Oh, look, hey, if you're saying I don't think I need to because we did it so perfectly, but you still haven't, you still don't have anything to rate it against. I mean, that even doesn't make sense, because you could say, oh, well, I think they did it brilliantly, but until you've seen it, I mean, that opinion is rubbish. And this is one of the problems with the world today, is that a lot of opinions are rubbish, but we're meant to treat them equally.
God, I'm not the truth.
Right? The person who has watched this and watched that has a more valuable opinion than the person who has only watched this or the person who's only watched that. And if they've only watched that, then they probably don't know about this.
You could do one of those, play them side by side at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah? That'd be
See
good.
how much it matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's where timing really is important.
Yeah.
Because what you want is them to completely...
To line up.
You'd have to rehearse that hard.
God, I know that's at least a year's work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of effort for...
I feel like we got pretty close.
I think it was good in two goes. So, returning to the question I posited earlier. John Lennon talks to a lady called Gloria Emerson from the New York Times, a famous newspaper, about maybe the most famous in the world, about an advertising campaign he did for peace. And she don't get it. Is he being naive or is she being a snob? What do we think?
I think both are true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think he's being naive?
Just, I do think he's being a little bit naive in thinking, sure, he's a celebrity, but he is still doing a big media thing that will be in the papers, but will it affect a politician?
Mm-hmm.
Doubtful, in my
True.
mind.
Particularly in those days, because I think politicians now, very sort of,
Now they're more showmen.
show business for ugly people. They're all a bit, they're not very high level. In those days, the kind of politicians would not listen to a pop star about anything. In the late 60s, they so divorced from that world.
Whereas you can put a lot of pressure on politicians through, popular culture these days, can't you?
Oh, very much so. We always used to joke, no politics please, but we always used to joke years ago when Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister, he had this thing where I don't know why he had it, but he needed people to know what he thought about everything. And it wasn't true. There were a lot of things we didn't need to know what he thought about things. And they would be like the most minor pop culture thing. And he would like put out a statement or a video about it. And you'd go, and we would joke with friends, I wonder what Gordon thinks about this.
Yes.
Because he was almost bound to come out. And you
Have
didn't need to wait very long.
Can you remember any of his opinions about anything?
There was. Well, you see, this is the problem. The fact that I can't really remember them. I can imagine they were inoffensive, deliberately. I mean, like brutally inoffensive. Okay, if that's even possible, because they would need to be things that nobody could disagree with, because he's trying to appeal to everybody, because he wants everyone to vote for him, even though that's totally unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay, but he could be swayed. This is 10 or more years ago. He could be swayed then, but in the late 60s, they would be like, what is a Beatle? Most famous people in the world at that point, they'd still be like, who is this?
I don't listen to that pop music.
Popular music?
Yeah.
Do you mean Bach? Yeah. Those people are so remote. Didn't even matter what party they were in. They were just distant from normal people.
Well, do you think a politician would garner more respect by saying, actually, I don't know?
I would love
people
them to
lose
do
confidence?
that. I would love them to do that. If they didn't know, then say I don't know.
Yeah.
That
But
gets a lot
would
more
people
with
then
them.
lose faith in them? Because they
I
don't
would
know
go,
everything?
oh, thank you, because some
Or
of their
make them more
answers to things
we
were,
would, but then
yeah.
the papers would be
Yeah,
like,
the
"Oh
papers
my
wouldn't.
God, they said they didn't know, idiots!" And then
like
that
who's
would
running our
then,
country? They don't know.
and that would then enter the public consciousness, and then we'd probably all be sitting here in 2 weeks' time, being like, "I can't believe they said they don't know about something."
Yeah, but that
Like
that they don't know a lot of things, and that's not picked up on.
Yeah, and
Like,
we
a
do,
lot of them don't
but,
know.
but we know that
Yeah.
they don't know.
Yeah.
When they pretend to know things that they don't know is offensive to the public directly.
Yeah.
If they say they don't know, then as you say, press will get on their back, and in a way that forces us to click on their things so that we see their ads and they get paid in that way that we've already discussed. Then you have that situation where they're too frightened to admit that they don't know things.
Because they don't want to be the click.
No, they don't want to be the butt of the clique. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
sort of like doing that.
Yeah.
So, do you know what? I hate fence sitting. I hate it, right? 'Cause most fences aren't wide enough to sit on properly anyway. It's
Uncomfortable.
quite painful.
Yeah.
But even in the sort of literal sense that we're talking about here, the figurative sense that we're talking about here, I don't like fence sitting. But I will say that there is some truth on both sides. I think there is. I think she's definitely being snobby towards
Oh
him.
yeah.
I mean, unquestionably. And I will point out that she's not just any old reporter from the New York Times, because I'm sure they could be snobby about lots of things. She was a war correspondent, Vietnam, she was on the ground, and she'd done a fair bit of that at the time. So she's got a right to be unsure about his motivations. Perfectly fine. But she is being condescending. And I think at the same time, I like what he's trying to do. He's trying to get some form of awareness out there, but maybe it's a bit simplistic. But hey, you know, sometimes you need to be simplistic to get a word out, you know.
That's true.
All he was saying was, give peace a chance. Yeah? That's a song. Yeah. All right. So, Bobby. Bobby Hoopla. Bobby of the Hoop. Bobby of the Hoopla. That's not your real name, is it, Bobby? That probably isn't what you expected. You probably expected some kind of Beatles interview, and I gave you a John Lennon political one. But as I say to people every time we do this, your requests need to be very direct. If they're not direct, then I will take liberties. If they are direct, I'll be honest, I probably won't do them. So in a way, you've done nothing wrong. I hope that you got something out of that. I for sure did. I think we all did. Yeah, we did. And to be honest, right now, we are all that matters. I hope you enjoyed watching this, even if I'm already dead. See you later.